take your drone work to the next level? Are you a single operator looking to make cinematic drone videos? Then let me tell you why, that if you're serious about professional video work, this drone is for you. Let me introduce you to the DJI Mavic 3 Cine. Now this thing is a beast. And first, before I go into specs and stuff, I mean, I'm not one of those ones that are going to give a ton of spec reviews. You can go anywhere on YouTube or on the internet and find spec reviews. But what I do want to talk about is my experience with the drone, why I love the drone, and why honestly I think it's worth the money. You know, if you have been into drones or you've been into DJI drones, you know, making the leap into this ecosystem might feel a little spendy, but if you are a serious videographer and you like to color grade your videos, have more control over your videos, have nice quality 10-bit footage, then this is definitely worth the investment. First, let me share a little story with you about you know, how I got into this ecosystem, into the Mavic 3 Cine, and why I decided to upgrade. Before I got into the Mavic 3, I had a Phantom 3 for a little while. I did end up crashing that one. You know, sensors and everything were just still not very good back then. Ironically enough, I was flying up and the wind got it and I overcorrected and hit a tree. And I was pretty new into my drone work. Watched it tumble all the way down. I think in my first drone, I didn't have the DJI pack refresh or anything like that. So it pretty much was a total loss. Then I upgraded to the Phantom 4, and when I did upgrade to the Phantom 4, I went to the Pro version, mainly because you see a lot of people flying their drone on their phones, and though phones have gotten bigger, it's still a relatively small screen. So when I went with the Pro, I liked that they had the controller with the monitor, everything's there. You know, you go out to fly, you don't charge your phone, but your drone's charged, and you don't end up getting to fly. So when I upgraded to the Phantom 4 Pro, that was one of the things I really loved, was that the controller had a screen, everything was attached. I just charged my controller, my batteries, and I'm good to go. I don't have to worry about my phone. I don't have to worry about those things. And that really upped my drone work and what I was able to do. I mean, the Phantom 4 was a very nice piece of equipment. I had the Phantom 4 for about 3 to 4 years, I want to say. And over time, as I started doing more stuff with my Red, with my Ursa, with color grading, with the Canon, everything pretty much shooting really high quality footage, either raw or high bit rate, the Phantom 4 was just starting to lose a little bit of that sparkle. For a while, I wanted to upgrade to the Inspire 2. If anybody who's in the video realm knows about the Inspire 2, it is a massive drone. You can run 2 operators. One person can be flying it, the other person can be running the camera. It's almost like if somebody's running the camera and the other person's pulling focus. When I was looking to upgrade out of the Phantom 4, I had looked into upgrading to the Inspire 2. Mainly because I wanted something that had high quality lenses, high quality control. I think that you could upgrade. Don't quote me on this. I didn't pull a bunch of tech specs or research on the Inspire to go too much in detail, but if my memory recalls, you could actually shoot RAW on it. I think they did upgrade to ProRes RAW, and all that stuff sounded great. And you know, I had thought about getting it, but my location, it's you know, where I live, I wouldn't really be able to use it that much. I mean, I do some client work. But I do a lot of my own stuff, and I just thought that was a little overkill. I think you're almost 10 grand to get into that system once you get the lenses and the mount for the style it shoots. You know, it's a pretty hefty price. Now, if I was living in the city or something, or a bigger area where I had a little bit more client work and could justify that, which, I mean, I could justify it if I want. I mean, I justified all my other cinema camera purchases. Wasn't really just the price of that, it was also the size factor. If you flown the Phantom 4, you'll know that it's a loud drone, and even like just hovering around, like you could hear it pretty well. Like it's not something that's discreet. You know, it's very, you know, people catch the attention of it, and it's just really kind of a loud drone. And so I knew that if I was going to go to an Inspire, that's also a loud drone and a very big drone. I kind of wanted to go down in size and not up in size. And so when the Cine came out, I was just so intrigued by, one, the size. I mean, this thing pretty much fits in the palm of my hand. I can get it out and ready in 2 minutes and be booted up and flying in, 2.5, 3 minutes. And the quality that comes out of it. I mean, it comes with a Hasselblad 1-inch sensor. Not a huge sensor, but, if you know anything about photo and video, I mean, Hasselblad, it's like the same as Leica. They've been around forever. They make quality stuff. So, and the fact that it does do Apple 422, does do 10-bit, it does shoot in log, not in RAW. I mean, I wish that they would upgrade with the internal memory system that they have in here. You would think that you could do, because if you do the Inspire, you basically pay for the RAW license. It's like, I think, if DJI really wanted to, they could do it with this. And so, and the other things that really turn me on is that it has a hard drive right in it. And I don't know if you are someone who's ever flown drones before, but how frustrating is it if you go to a site, you're all excited to go fly, you run out. In an ideal world, you have your extra micro SD cards, but those things are small, they're hard to kind of carry around sometimes. So I don't know if, I know I have, but if you've ran out and are excited to fly and you get there and you realize you ain't got no micro SD card. And so the fact is that I could show up to fly, show up to a job, do whatever I want, get up in the air, within a couple minutes be recording in 422 HQ right to this internal hard drive is pretty amazing. I don't have a ton of cons on this. I think that overall this is an amazing drone, and I'm not trying to sell you on it, but I wanted to give you kind of a perspective of someone who wasn't given it, someone who's bought it, someone who's using it, and really tell you what I like about it. And those are a lot of the things. And I think in today's world, being able to just get up and go and be able to fly within a few minutes and get shots you need to do, it is pretty amazing. And and it has all of its normal features that DJI is known for, like their hyperlapses and their following around and their droney shots and all that. And quite honestly, I think I've messed with just a few of them, very often. But I'll throw up a video here. I did a shot of our buddy. He was drumming in the forest, and I just flew this straight up, trees around. It it detects really good. I wasn't nervous about flying it in the area we were at, which was pretty wooded area. I found a decent enough spot where I could get up without being near a bunch of tree branches, and was able to go back up, go down. It notices when it's near stuff, it'll slow. So like, it's not, if I'm out in the open, I can go up, I think like 13, 14 miles an hour I can go up. And in normal mode, I think you're flying 25 to 30 miles an hour. But when it senses stuff, it'll slow itself down. So you're not making any rash stuff. You can just focus on getting the shots. And I think that's another amazing thing, is that even when I was in the forest, I could just focus looking at my drone, knowing what was around because of the sensors that it has on it, and get the shot that I wanted and be creative about it. I think that's another huge advantage, is that I could just focus on filmmaking. The DJI Mavic 3 Cine has so many great features. Like I said, it does shoot D-Log, it does shoot Apple ProRes 422, 422 LT, and 422 HQ. You can only shoot to the internal hard drive with those settings, and that's pretty much all I use. Like I said, there is an internal hard drive on the Cine, and it is a great thing. I mean, I don't have to worry about going out and worrying about losing a micro SD card or anything else. It has up sensors. I think it has sensors on the side, sensors below, and sensors in the front, if I remember right. I'm not looking at all the sensors right now, but it pretty much does a full 360 degree directional and figures out where everything is and what the distance is. It has a couple of settings for detecting objects. You could either stop the drone, or if you're flying through a good enough area, it will move around objects. So if you're like flying too low to somebody and you have that set, it'll just kind of go up and over and keep it pretty smooth. The distance range has been great. I think I've gotten like 3,500 feet out and probably about 1,000 feet total from where I was in the air if I flew up like a mountainside. And so it's got good range. I mean, you can get up and get your shots. When I was also doing the shots with my buddy doing drum and stuff, I kind of flew over him, and then I went out past the lake and I went up the mountains like pretty high. You know, there's gonna be no other flying objects around those. I mean, they have to get up and over. So I kind of flew up the hillside, got some cool stuff, and I've flown it when I went over to a couple other islands and worked on some projects, and I flew it really far out and saw this waterfall that like close up. It was pretty cool. So this thing has the distance, it has the recording power. And the other part of the video that I wanted to just kind of show you is I thought we would go into Davinci and just do a little color grade. I'm not going to go too crazy, but I just thought I'd show you how good the footage is coming out of this thing, what you could do with it a little bit, and you know, hopefully help you make your decision and if this drone is right for you. I wanted to take you under Resolve and kind of show you what the footage looks like out of the Mavic 3 Cine. As you can see, I got a few clips here. I got ProRes 422, I got ProRes 422 HQ, and you know, even though surprisingly although these files can be pretty big when you're filming, they you know, with the internal hard drive, you actually still get a lot of film time. I think even in 422 HQ, I think I get about 50 minutes. I'm not sure if that's everything maxed out, but that's what I've found. 422 D-Log, I can get about 50 minutes. 422 HQ D-Log, I can get about 50 minutes. And 422, I think it's well over an hour and 20 minutes of filming, so it really meets your needs. Another thing I wanted to touch on is that DJI just did announce the Inspire 3, and though that is an amazing drone with 8K ProRes RAW and pretty much all the bells and whistles you can ask for, before you even get a lens, you're looking at almost 17,000, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. It's 16 or 17,000. Plus you got to buy the lenses, which if it's anything historical from what DJI did with the Inspire, you're looking for about $1,200 to $1,500 per lens. I think they only have one lens out right now for the DJI 3. Again, don't quote me on that, but I think this is, with those announcements, this kind, if you are serious about filmmaking but you don't have that kind of budget, I mean, most people don't, like it, you know, you have to invest in that for years unless you're, you know, serious about filmmaking, which, and you have the clientele to back it up, or you you know, if you are doing, say, content creation or whatever, if you have the following or the resources where you're getting it, sure, that could be a great buy. But you know, for something that is more medium range, I think that they did a really good job separating the Inspire 3 from, say, the Mavic 3 Cine, that it wasn't just a little bit of a leap, which, you know, I'd imagine it wouldn't. The Inspire 2 itself was really amazing, but I'm getting off track. So let's get back to the DJI Mavic 3 Cine. What I wanted to do is show you guys a little bit of my color grading process. I thought I would kind of show you the start to finish process I use. So this is a day I filmed in the Narrows. If you look here, you can see that the fog really rolls in. Where I live, we're separated by a couple islands, and the fog can really like trap us in. And so I saw this outside my house. I decided I needed to fly and kind of, you know, just get out there and fly. And I'm still learning to kind of multitask. This is one thing I'm trying to balance better. So if there's little pauses, it's mostly me just kind of figuring out my controllers while trying to talk. Anyways, I thought what I would do is walk you through the whole process of this color grade and just kind of talk about how I approach this. I'm going to open up the viewer so you guys can kind of see everything. And I'm just going to go through node to node. This first node, you won't see nothing. That's my noise reduction node. I'm going to go through my next nodes. And this, I kind of brighten the sky. You can see it's really grayed out. Just kind of add a little bit more contrast to that upper scene. Obviously, I probably should have shot with a little bit lower of a filter. You can see the sun's blowing the scene out, but I still thought for the mood I went for, it actually turned out really good, and I was really happy with it. This I kind of darkened the foreground. This I brightened up the yellows and the oranges there. You can kind of see over here on the side, it's starting to get a little bit more green, and up here in the sky, you can see the orange pop a little bit more. Go to the next node. And same, I added just even a slightly more color boost. And then if I remember, this should be my, oh yeah, I went down through my kind of hue saturation levels. This is a parallel node. If you don't know what that is, this basically will pull all the information from this node. And instead of affecting each node down the stream, all three of these nodes are pulling information from this node, and then you send it upstream. So now we're moving on to the conversion node. I use color space transform to convert to Rec 709 from the D-Log workspace. As you can see here, that brings in a Rec 709. Obviously, sun's a lot more blown out. It's giving it some of those more orange colors. You can kind of see the green. And we're going to move on to the next node. These are my final look nodes. I got this one kind of darkening everything, giving a little bit more contrast. This one I bring in a little bit more of that orange color, just, you know, kind of making a look out of it. And then this last one is just kind of my final sharpening mode. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look down here in the trees, you can see them pop a little bit more. Just bring a little bit of sharpness back into the image. Since, you know, when you're shooting flat, if your profile is flat, you shouldn't have a lot of sharpness in it. You don't want it to be sharpened straight from the camera. I never knew that when I first started filming, and it wasn't until I really got into using cinema cameras that I realized that when you're shooting flat or shooting raw, you're gonna have control over all that stuff. Let's go ahead and look at this one. This one, I just did a basic little adjustment. Let's go ahead and clear this. I'm actually just kind of show you. I'll just kind of show you the process. I'm gonna set up. Just bear with me for 1 second. Go into the color page. I'm using my Stream Deck. So if you're looking for tools, I use the Blackmagic micro panel, and there is a few things that's missing that I wish it had on this micro panel. One is adding color nodes. I don't know why they decided not to do that. I feel like it's nice to just have that button, and I wish that they had it, or you can map it so you could do that, adding nodes. So what I use is I have this another thing called the Stream Deck. It's used mostly for video editing, but I do use it for actually I do use it in Resolve. So just a push of a button, I can add my nodes. So I'm going to add 4 nodes. We're going to go ahead, I'm going to use the effects. I'm going to do my color space transform. And if you're not familiar with Resolve, I mean, obviously these clips can be edited at any juncture, and I am going to work on a video about my journey into Resolve. I have been using Resolve for about 6 years, maybe 7 years now, pretty much since I got my Ursa Mini Pro, and now a lot of people are switching over to it. And so I thought I'd do a video kind of talking about why I used Resolve and why I have been using it for the last 6 years and what I love about it. But as far as color grading, we're going to input our color space. Bear with me just for one moment, I passed it. So we're going to go DJI D gamut, that's the gamut color space. And then the gamma is going to be, and this is your input, this is what it was filmed in. So you're inputting these color spaces. Now I have it set up as Rec 709, I'm pretty sure, in the system, and my color management, yeah. So really it's already converting to that. But since I am going to export it and I want to make sure everything looks proper, I'm going to go Rec 709, and I'm going to go Gamma 2.4. Sorry, trying to find this stuff. Sorry about that. Okay, so 2.4. You can see it didn't change at all, because I pre-set up my color space where I wanted it. There's a whole lot of stuff you can learn about the color space. You can actually convert to other log profiles if you like working with certain profiles. Most of the LUTs for converting to an actual film emulation through Davinci has to be ran through a couple different color space transforms. Again, I'm getting off track, and I think that there is a lot of videos out there, and I can make more videos if this is something that interests you. But what I wanted to do is just kind of show you a quick grade. So this is already Rec 709, and you can see our histogram's pretty darn good. I mean, we're pretty well color graded on top to bottom as far as our white balance. And so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to bring these down a little bit, and we'll go into viewer mode. I'm going to go ahead and bring my gamma up some. I'm going to bring my highlights up a little bit for now. And I mean, there you go, a little bit. I mean, that's just a quick grade. So you can see, I mean, the footage really holds up. Again, another kind of foggy scene. This is all shot the same morning. Let's just go ahead and grab this still. We'll go ahead and apply this to this one and just kind of see how it looks. Apply grade. I mean, super bright. I'd definitely do more with this. I'd probably, let's see. Let's go. Let's see if we can give it another little look here. Yeah, it's probably not what I would do. Totally. Let's see. Let's try to bring these gains. Oh no, I'm on the wrong one. Okay, let's go ahead and get out of here. Let's put this on the right node. I'll go ahead and bring the gain up just slightly, more towards that orange. I'll go ahead and bring the more towards that blue. I'm not gonna go too crazy, just kind of showing you about how the footage looks. I mean, there you go. You can make it. Obviously, I don't think that's a really good orange look. I'd probably dial with this more, but the goal is to show you how good the footage looks. Obviously, it's noisy. I need to do noise reduction. This wouldn't be my final output, but you can see the footage itself holds up. We can go ahead and bypass, and you know, I mean, right out of camera, and with just a couple, we'll even reset this node. We'll just get rid of that weird. You know, we got a real good grade. Like I said, obviously I would work with it more if I'm doing a final grade, but I'm just trying to show you some of the scenarios that you could get into. Same thing with this. I'm actually just gonna apply the grade, but I'm gonna get rid of this reset node. We'll just convert it over on our end to Rec 709. And this one's a little different. I mean, it's definitely a little bit brighter up there. I would probably go up in here, do an offset, bring down everything a little bit. Go viewer, we'll bring this down. There we go, a little bit darker up in the sky. And you know, let's kind of show you some of the cool stuff you can do. Let's go ahead and we'll do a let's see, just bear with me for a moment. I'm looking for something specific. Let's go ahead. A lot of people have been doing this lens flare. Is that what it is? Light rays. Let's go ahead and put it in light rays, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring these out. We're going to lengthen them. We're going to change that color. We're going to give it a nice orange color. Nice little orange color. And then we're just going to drop off from a location at an angle. From a location. Go angle. So we can kind of see, let's disable this. We can kind of see the lights kind of going this way. So let's see if we can mimic some of that and get that angle on there. Okay. And then we're going to go, let's just lengthen it more. And I think that orange is a little bright. Let's kind of darken it a little bit. There we go. And we're going to go, not multiply, normal, add, we'll blend, soften it a little bit. There we go. We'll soften it up. We'll blend it. Try to make it just real subtle so it doesn't look overly fake. And let's go ahead and look at this. I mean, this is the cool light rays. I mean, and again, the footage holds up. I mean, there's obviously some noise, which we can reduce, and I don't want to strain the computer too much and try to play back, but there'll be a little bit of noise, but you can see, I mean, and give it a little bit more glow to it, kind of make it a little bit more interesting over here. You know, we could also, let's add another node before this one. We'll go ahead and add a node. And let's go ahead and just do another kind of curve over here. And you know, I'm not a professional color grader. I am good enough to do what I need to do. My goal is to show you that you can edit this stuff in Resolve really quickly. You can, you know, do nice quality work, and you have really good footage to work with. You know, let's just darken that a little bit. So now, you know, we took that image and just a few clicks to this right here, and I would probably desaturate this a little bit. I think it's a little oversaturated for my liking. Let's turn down the saturation. Go all the way down, come up a little bit. And there's still a little bit more work I would do on this myself. Probably bring the saturations back up. I think I went too far. Yeah. So there's with it disabled, enabled. Bring it down a little. What I would really probably do is bring down some of these blue tones that are in there, but you know, again, I mean, we took this in just a couple steps to that. Let's take a look at another one. This is another one I did. I took this, you know, nice simple scene. It's got the car driving by. This was taken over on another island that lives nearby us, that I travel to quite often for work. And you know, turn off set off, and we'll turn off bypass, and there you go. I mean, it's a nice little moody scene. And I did that in, let's see, let's look at the notes here. I got my denoise right there, and then we got 1, 2, 3 scenes, and then, you know, our last scene is just kind of add a little bit more contrast at the end after the Rec 709 conversion. And yeah, I mean, there you go, like 5 nodes, and I've turned that into this. And you know, the footage looks good. I mean, this is what denoise and everything on. You can't see any noise coming through here. It's, you know, I didn't have to really sharpen a ton because I didn't want it to be over sharpened. And you know, you got a nice, clean, really clean footage from this Mavic 3, and I think that's a testament to how good this drone really is. We'll do kind of one more. This is another one I did. You can see 2 nodes I put in. It looks like I kind of combined 1 node, so I was kind of in a hurry. But let's go ahead and open the viewer. We'll bypass it. And you know, nice contrast scene. Now let's go ahead and let's delete these. We'll just walk through this again so you can kind of see. I'm going to create 3 nodes. I'm going to create 4 nodes. I'm going to go ahead and put my color space transform on here. We're going to go Rec 709. Or sorry, we're going to go DJI D-Gamut. We're going to go D-Log. And then now it's converted to Rec 709. And now here, you know, I think it's well, there's more blues in here. I think it needs to be adjusted a little bit. So I'm going to go on my highlights. I'm going to bring down the blues. So what I like to do is when I'm looking at my scopes, you kind of want everything to line up. Waveform also, it does a good job at this. You basically want to line up everything so it's kind of like all in the same. Red's a little much. I prefer to use my scopes though, so let me go back to scope. So red's high, so let's bring down the reds. We're gonna go over. So I'm using my color wheel. You can also do this with template adjustments, but I'm kind of taking each of my wheels and trying to find out what looks good. That's a little more green. Let's try to bring it back to the blues a little bit. Still a little green. Bring a little more back to the blues. Getting a little far now. Let's see. Get rid of all that green. And we'll just bring it back ever so slightly. There, see, it was really blue. Kind of greened it up a little bit. I'd probably still take some of the green out. I'm just gonna kind of play on here. You can see me clicking now. Another good tool to use is the vector scope. And you're trying to line, you kind of see where everything is on here. You kind of want to try to line that up in the middle. If you actually go to your offset and you can kind of move it around here and try to get that point right in the middle. And that's usually quicker when you're using your offset. And there you go. See, warmed it up just slightly. I think that looks better. The greens are a little bit more richer. And let's move on to our next node. So actually delete this one, and we'll use this as our start node. We'll make another node after that. And let's see. Let's look at our histogram. You know, we're not, it's not very dark on the bottoms, and also the bottoms is kind of not really leveled out either. Yeah, probably because I did the vector scope, it's that way. So okay, let's go on the viewer. We're gonna get off offset. Okay, we're not on offset. We're gonna bring down our shadows a little bit. We're just add some contrast to this, bring up our highlights, bring down our gammas. And there you go, add some contrast to it. Again, I don't like it to be as saturated as Rec 709 makes it, so I'm gonna go behind this node, bring down the saturation a little bit, give it a little bit more moody feel. I just don't like it to be oversaturated. Now you may like that. You know, there's still lots of saturation you can put into this image. I prefer myself to just kind of be a little bit on the desaturated side. And you know, let's I'm gonna add one more node. We'll do this at the end after here. I'm gonna add a this is a gradient, so it's gonna affect think of it similar as like having a filter on. And you can see over here on the right where the node is. Let me see if I can zoom in on the node. There we go. You can see here where the node is, that as I bring this up and down, it's going to affect whatever's grayed out. It won't affect whatever's fully in scene. It will affect. You can also bring this down as like a gradient. You can turn it. You can see it. It's all pretty much updating in real time. So I think we're going to go kind of there, and I'm going to go ahead and actually just do kind of like a curve on this. I'm just going to kind of try to pop that sky a little bit, darken it some, and just maybe do like a S curve here. Just add a little bit more contrast to that image. There you go. See, it was pretty gray, and kind of popped it a little bit more. So yeah, again, took that in a couple minutes. We took it from this to this, and obviously I could do more, but I'm not trying to make these really long tutorials. I'm just kind of showing you how quickly you can move stuff into a working space. And so kind of same here on this last little node. I did a color on it. Let's zoom out of the clips again. We'll go ahead and bypass it. And you can see, I mean, we started out with kind of this flat image, just this image of it over the city of Metlakatla, another island I go visit and do a lot of filming on. And I took it to this. I mean, it has a more of a cinematic effect. You can see the browns a little bit more. And this is how I took it. And I'll kind of show you how I took everything. So here's the first node. Again, I ran through and do my denoiser. We're going to go to the next node. I kind of changed the temperature a little bit. It was looking really kind of cold. And I mean, it was cold, but the sun's coming in from over here. It was still early morning. So I kind of wanted to change the temperature a little bit, just change that look. We're going to go to the next node. And there we go. I got my contrast. Yeah, got my contrast in there. Kind of darken the image, give it a little bit more of a look I want. And then I pop this color just a little bit more. We'll go to the next node. And this was just my basic final conversion. Doesn't do much, didn't do much, but as you can see, it took it from there to there. And, you know, I feel like this has a nice, real cinematic look to it. You can see the sun kind of coming in. It's got some nice temperature. And the footage doesn't break. I mean, if you look way back here in the distance, you can see it's kind of contrasted out. But overall, I mean, you can see the mountain peaks. You can see the church. You can see this is their town hall. This is another church right here. And you can see the road off to the side. I mean, it's got all sorts of details. The water off here to the right. And so, yeah, that is kind of just a quick rundown of what you could do with this footage in Resolve or any other program if you're using Premiere or Final Cut Pro. This is just my editing choice of software. I am going to do another video about Resolve, as I just mentioned earlier. I'm going to do another video about Resolve, and I'm going to kind of take you on my thoughts and my experiences with Resolve as somebody who has used it for the past 6 or 7 years professionally and on all my videos. Thought we could kind of dive into why everyone's switching. If you are in the video and photo space and you follow some of the bigger name creators, you'll know a lot of them have moved over to Davinci Resolve from, say, Premiere or Final Cut. And I just thought it would be kind of a cool discussion to kind of talk about why everyone is moving over, what my thoughts are about the software, and why I'm kind of surprised that people hadn't done it sooner. When I bought the Ursa Mini Pro, it came with the Resolve Studio, and I think I got into it at 14, and we're now 18.5 just had come out. So I have been with it for a lot of iterations, and I think it would be a cool conversation to have why everyone's switching, why I think you could switch if you're actually in this industry, and you know, why it would be beneficial to you. As far as the color grading of the Mavic 3, I hope that going through a few of these clips gave you a little bit more insight onto how I would process some of these clips quickly. Again, most of those aren't final grades. I didn't want to spend an hour doing just grading. Well, I hope you enjoyed the color grading part. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. I hope that if you are someone who's serious about their video work and is serious about taking their drone work or their cinematography work to the next level, that this video helps you a little bit, that maybe you make that decision that this is the investment. There hasn't been anything I haven't been able to do with this creatively, and I highly recommend that if you are on the fence about getting a more cheaper version or doing the Cine version, I would say pull the trigger. It is worth it. You're not going to regret it. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.